Legionnaires, we're here with another NTW3 battle for you here today, and I fast forwarded a little further than I thought I needed to, and we've already run into a little bit of combat there. I mean, the French trying to catch the speedy Cossacks of the Russian army here of Barclay de Tolly, but they have failed to do so, and their Chevaliers are going to fall back, and they are needed elsewhere because look at this line of Uhlans and Hussars setting up here for the Prussians. This is a huge cavalry force here getting ready. But this is the Battle of Dennewitz. So it's a battle from 1813. The guys try to recreate it. We've already done a historical battle of Dennewitz, but I felt like we should do it once. Well, the guys felt like they should do it once again. So yeah, it's a battle part of the obviously the 1813 campaign, the Germany campaign. It's a coalition victory. It's kind of a huge blow for the French when they lose this one. Marshal Ney and Oudinot are the guys that are leading the French army, and they are they have an army of around about 45,000 to 70,000, which is a huge range. I feel like surely much more sort of coordinated. Sort of like, well, knowledgeable in sort of like the amount of troops they had. I feel like that's quite a range to like be guessing on. And then the Allies have around about 80,000 Allied troops. So a bit of an advantage if you take the top sort of like frame of the French numbers. But yeah, Ney at this point has a huge amount of sort of the army in Germany that Napoleon has command of. And he loses around about 20,000 troops in this battle to around about 11,000 Allied losses. It's a huge, huge blow. And at Dennewitz, you kind of think if they hadn't lost the Battle of Dennewitz, would it have been a different sort of story at Leipzig potentially, with all those troops that maybe weren't going to be captured or lost. You know, Leipzig may have been a different story. If they wouldn't Dennewitz, would there have been a battle of Leipzig? Because the Allies obviously would have been pretty badly mauled. But yeah, the commanders for the Allies include von Bülow and Bernadotte, who obviously was a French commander, but he's now part of the Swedish army, which is all the way over here. So we do have Sweden. It's just the 1808 version, because there's no 1813 version of Sweden. I mean, there's no 1813 corps at all. We also, I think this is Oudinot here, who is late to arrive to battle. I think this is an Oudinot corps that's got to wait. Barclay de Tolly. I don't think Barclay de Tolly was at this battle. I don't know how many Russians were really there. They might be using all the Prussian troops in that corps, for instance, but I don't think there was many Russians at this battle. I could be wrong. I think it was mainly a Prussian and a Swedish sort of like army, really. I didn't think there was yeah, much in the way of Russians at all. So I don't know why Barclay de Tolly's here, but he's here, I guess, maybe for balancing of armies, potentially. That could be the case. But yeah, there's like a Russian corps, I think, that was like lightly engaged, but yeah, not like fully committed, that's for sure. The Russians were just about scattered everywhere. Maybe this isn't Oudinot, actually, because now I remember. Oh, they're actually able to attack him as well. What? Okay, fair enough. And there you go. I don't know what the rules were for this army over here, but they've lost their cannon already to the Barclay de Tolly Uhlan there. That seems unfair. Maybe they did have a sort of a time when they were allowed to sort of like they were activated and then allowed to be attacked. And maybe this Uhlan has just taken that chance to immediately attack that gun. Which if they have, that's pretty cheesy, pretty cheeky. And they have no cavalry. So yeah, I don't know, like I said, don't know what the rules were. They've also got their general way off over here. That seems like a bad idea. I mean, maybe we just can't see the other French. Oh yeah, there's French cav here, so it just was not in the right place. Don't imagine there's another French army here, but I could be wrong. There could be. Oudinot, there is an Oudinot army. It's way off over here. I've seen. It's all the way off on the other side of the map as well. But the French and the Prussians are already getting engaged. The French have a pretty strong position here on this hill. And they are already pounding the Prussians with their artillery here, trying to do as much damage as possible. Yep, there they go. The French already sort of engaged. A lot of line infantry here. I think most of these are 1812 corps that are in place. I imagine most of these are Ney, like Ney and Oudinot. I could be wrong. I imagine they're all the commanders. They might have a different one for balancing. I don't think it's annoying that we can't like hover over and go, oh, it's this is what the French have here. But yeah, very annoying, but that is how it is, I guess. And it doesn't see even in like the end results which cause or which. So yeah, kind of annoying, but hey ho, and there you go. Skirmish is taken out by the Blucher over here. The Blucher, this is the Silesian one, which I think is 1814. I think there isn't an 1812 Prussia, but anyway, they've taken out the guns of the lancers there. They have then lost their own cavalry as the looks like some German allied cav there gets involved. Germans at this point in Dennewitz are still allied. Most of them are still allied to the French. Some of them starting to turn. Bavaria turns before Leipzig, and like Wittenberg and Saxony. Wittenberg turns after Leipzig. Saxony turns famously during Leipzig. And they've got a really good position upon here to the French. But I mean, it's kind of hard to defend it, I guess, as well. I mean, they've got that gun emplacement up there. The Prussians do kind of just have a clear line of assault straight up the hill here. The French really aren't set up, I'd say, effectively with that sort of defense there. And another sort of charge going on here. We've got Uhlans going in. Looks like they were trying to, I don't know what they were trying to go for here. Some more skirmishers. Looks like Chevaliers have scared them off. We've got Cuirassier here waiting. And a Hussar, and we've got more cav being dashed down. And again, it's that German light cav being dashed down. The German infantry here being fallen back as well. We've got some Wetterberg boys there. They're all falling back. Looks like Prussia's going to lose that Hussar as well, but he's got infantry and the heavy cav coming up. So he could clear out this French cavalry if he wants to. French cav at this point in history as well, very depleted historically. So I don't, but not necessarily the case, I guess, with 1813, well, 1812 cores being used. I feel like they should use 1814. It's kind of a bit more historically accurate, I feel like. So numbers are down on units potentially. And also you have a lack of cav at the French, which is something that they suffer from after 1812. I guess you could limit cav and what they want to bring. But yeah, cavalry there has managed to actually scare off the Uhlans, but there's infantry coming up, the squarables as well. And another cavalry can just go in. The gun is going to get taken for sure here, infantry. Storm that gun in place, and that is that taken. And the Russians now going in with their Cossacks. They're going to go charging into Laguerre here. Surprised we don't actually have a Boulot, since Boulot was listed in the commanders. And there is an 1814 core for him. Huge amount of French cav here, just being quite passive. I mean, I guess it's standing off looking at the Russian cav. But maybe could do getting over here to try and assist and save some of the Russians. The Russians have brought the lifeguards. We've got grenadiers here. And they're going to get caught, these Frenchies here. Even though these are like Laguerre, they should be speedy as hell. They're getting caught. The the Prussians here hounding the French as they try to retreat. And this is looking like a catastrophe. They're blobbing up here. This is just needing some of this Russian line infantry and Russian grenadiers to get in there, get in the mix, and a bit of cav, and they can mash out these French. The Russian guard go into melee. They should overwhelm most French infantry, to be honest. Same with the Russian grenadiers. They are all going in, and yep, there goes even more grenadiers going in. It is already looking very bad for the French here, and we've got a cuirass now storming as well over here against the Ney Corps. France does have more and more troops on the way. We've got Portuguese actually here in the front line. Should be here. Portuguese at this point are very much fighting for the Brits, not for the French, even if there is the Portuguese Legion. And we've got more cav coming forward. I need to be careful not to unit across the skirmishes there. Where is Oudinot? Oudinot still is a long, long way away, I feel like, and yeah, not really on the march. Cuirassier here, trying to battle on. They can just turn this Portuguese unit here. They can sideshot that Cuirassier. It looks like they might be about to deal with the situation. Some of the French infantry routing here. Cavalry going in to try and slow down the Prussians. This is not looking good though. The French have been pushed back into the town of Dennewitz itself. A lot of their infantry has been scattered on the way as well by Russian grenadiers and guards. And the cav as well. I mean, some of this is just getting shot as it moves forward. I don't know if this is re-rally cav. Or I don't know. What's that? It's just kind of just moving forward. And the Russian Jäger here are just going to a little square. This one can. Lugin Roth. He's going to rout those French there very easily. And there you go. Now the Russians can continue on. They actually managed to get into that building before the French. So that's impressive. So yeah, they literally sneaked in there with a couple of with the line infantry there. And now they're going to fight over the building. That's impressive. Prussia is continuing this assault over here, by the way, and it is getting serious. We've got more light cav going in here, just pressuring this French front line here. And the Prussians are like properly going in. This is literally everything being thrown in here. We've got Leave infantry, light infantry, or is it guard? I don't think it's guard. But anyway, they're against grenadiers. It's a huge grenadier unit here for the French. Prussian cav going in. That's failed. We've got more heavies going in as the lights there break. And they're just constantly getting bombarded here with the French by cavalry. Here comes that reinforcing French army. I think that's just come all the way down the road, and then it's snuck in behind Dennewitz, and it's now setting up behind, and it's going to try and help repel the Prussians here. The other Prussian player, he's shifting a lot of his forces away from the town of Dennewitz, leaving that to the Russians, and he's now coming in to back up his Prussian ally. So yeah, big fight going on there. The town fight's still raging on as well. We've got the French lights there fighting in the town. They look like they're going to lose that fight looking at morale. To be honest, the French line infantry is not very much better against these Russians. Russians are honestly the kings of melee. Especially when they've got the grenadiers and the guards as well. And this is all line infantry here going in. I think the grenadiers are being rested up. They've already seen a bit of action. They are quite small units. Prussia has been repelled, by the way, and Udeno's sort of scouting parties are starting to arrive. We've got some Polish lancers here, still loyal to Napoleon's cause themselves, still believing that a free Poland could be established. We've got Chasseurs Cheval as well, sneaking in behind. They're all going to look for opportunities to get artillery and generals, I'd imagine, with a huge amount of Prussia's cavalry as well being annihilated in those frontal assaults. They're really leaving themselves, I feel like, weak, and this Chasseurs Cheval, I think it's going to go for the guns, and then the general here, Blucher. He is, I imagine, the primary target here. They're going to get that gun, and they have definitely just gone all the way through. They've got the gun there, in fairness. They ran all the way through, killed the gun, you kill it on the march, but they definitely were going for Blucher there, I think, before they'd really killed the gun. And they've got the cav there as well, and they might get Blucher. If France can, if they could make a gap, they could just charge into Blucher as well from the other side. Here comes those Polish cavalry as well. I thought that was more Prussian cav coming to save the day, but no. And the Chasseurs might get Blucher here, and that might be a Prussian army out of the game pretty much instantaneously. They're still fighting on here in melee. Prussia Landwehr is not going to be beating French infantry, even if it's very battered French infantry, that's for sure. Still hounding. I think they're still hounding Blucher. I'm really not sure. They've routed more stuff over here. The French cav has been routed. I think Blucher has survived. Yeah, he's in the square. They went for other stuff. Got the skirms. And looks like a couple of skirms. That's just what they got there. It's not a bad result. Not a bad result at all. Whether Udeno has more cav, light cav to bring over, he does have another one there. That's good to see. He's going to need that. And yeah, this is looking good for the French over here. A bit of a unit across the net. Need to be careful of that. A bit messy, but not the end of the world. Beddenberg Dragoons here coming forwards. It's a pretty solid unit. Send them forward. I don't know if this cuirass is tired. It's seen action already. If they could target that, they have a good chance of killing that off. France is actually starting the counter-offensive here. Now that there's men and reserves available to them, they are going to start twirling those bayonets and advancing forward. The cries of Vive l'Empereur will be heard on the air. Yeah, more Portuguese Legion in there. I think this is the Grenadiers, the Portuguese Legion as well, looking at their like shakos and like the feathers they've got in the shakos. So that actually might be a decent matchup here for the Russian infantry. I think they're still got to reclaim that building of the French from Dennewitz. They actually don't, in theory, hold Dennewitz. The LOC is in the hands of the Russians. I think it is the only LOC as well, that farmhouse there, yeah. And there's still more Russians being piled in, and the Swedes are starting to arrive now as well. I think there is pretty much nothing for the French out here. I bet the Russians, if they wanted to, could push on this and just kind of force back this cav and these skirms, and then try and really get in behind the French here. This other Prussian army now arriving, just needs to stay alive, stay in the field. Uno is also on his way, so that's a big hit there. That's like an 11-pointer, I think, for the French arriving, while the Allies, on the other hand, have a 7-point on the way. So very different sort of reinforcements arriving. Yes, if you're a fan of all things NTW3 and you're enjoying the action here today, do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here to comment, show support. It really does help out the channel. If you want to send in any of your own replays to be featured on the channel, like this one was sent in, and then do send it in to my Discord. The link is down below in the description. It's the best place to send in replays. And it looks like we see a big cav charge here. I'd say it was relatively fine. There's a little bit of unit crossing, but I think that's just because the unit's quite large and wide. And they do need to carry on, though. I was going to say, don't just stand there, Franz. Prussia might just shoot you. I mean, in fairness, Prussia's shooting himself right now. I think he was weighing up the opportunity. Could have go in. I mean, he probably could have. The Prussians are turning their back. He could have got it. Yeah, he goes in now. It's a bit late. I think he's kind of missed his chance. He's going to get this line unit here. They're definitely going to form squares. That's a big result there for the French. Russia is slowly speeding up the French, even though they're in the town. France has still got plenty of troops just sort of on the outskirts. That's still hotly contested. It's all like the outskirts fight here. They could look to maybe turn some of these units here, some of these, I think these are German light infantry here, fire those into the flanks of the Russians, really just win some of these fights, turn them in their favor quickly. Now, German cav, by the looks of it as well, got back to safety. Russia is sort of boxing himself in a little bit here, how they're sort of setting up. You can see they've got infantry facing this way, sort of facing towards their rear, evidently worried about Oudinot, which he is there with his cav. So yeah, the French have inadvertently sort of boxed the Prussians in. If they can sort of get enough infantry to sort of contain this Prussian army so it can't fall back to Russia, which it already sort of is doing relatively effectively. Oudinot seems like he's too slow at the moment getting in. He's got Laguerre on the way. Yeah, lots of lights by the looks of it arriving, so they should be speedy and should be able to get to assist the French soon. It's going to be a bit of a race, like I said. I don't think Sweden's getting it anytime soon. He's going to have quite a slow game, but Russia still in the game a little bit, but he is running out of troops. Those skirmishes there get taken by Swedish cavalry. I don't know what the Hussars going after, that it ignored the skirms. They're going to be French retreating onto these squares. It's going to scare off the Hussars here. But yeah, Russia, if he can sort of get his way through the remaining stuff in the outskirts of the town, he can then flank the French while the Prussians hold them in place. But at the same time, if this French centre here can just be maintained, then the Oudinot can do the same to the Prussians. He can outflank. It looks like some of the Schutzen routed. They're going for the guns. The Chevaliers here. Looks like they're going to survive. Gun crew there taken out. They might get this other gun as well. And this could be a huge haul here. I'm surprised the Prussians set up their guns. I thought they were going to keep retreating. Didn't think they were going to stand their ground here, but they have. And that gun's lost. That now puts the Prussians in a pretty tenuous state. They can't really hold here with the guns. They might as well try to retreat. I'd say try and withdraw. Try and get the French baited maybe back into the town. Try and use what remains of the Russians to win the melee fight. The big ask, there's still a lot of French in the pot. Like I said, Sweden's not arriving anytime soon. What he's offering as well is not a large army. Got the Footjäger here. Footjäger. Yeah, infantry, Indeller infantry. We've got the, I think this is the guard. No, what is this? I think this is the King's infantry. I think it's a grenadier. It might be a guard unit. Or the Swedish guard look a little different. Most of these guys in the square though, they've gone for a very professional Swedish army, not made up of militia. So that's a very small army. I don't know how effective it's necessarily going to be. You've got a 1 6-pounder as well. Yeah, small Swedish army, a couple of cav units here as well. We've got the Life Guard Hussars and then a Hussar there as well. So yeah, interesting build, that's for sure. We've got Oudinot here and he has a cuirass. Cuirassier ready to go in. This unit can be an army killer. Absolutely can be an army killer. Lots of Hussars, Uhlans, and Cossacks here for the Russians now coming over to deal with the heavy cav. Is France going to back up Oudinot's cav charge here? Oudinot looked like he was going to go for it. Has changed his mind since. The Prussians sort of set himself up nicely. They had withdrawn, but now since set themselves up, yeah, and about half a dozen of those cuirass going to drop down dead there. I think be patient. Be patient with the cuirass. Either you can win it, use it to win some cav fights, or they can use it to just wipe out the Prussian army there, because that Prussian army is pretty much the largest, the most effective remaining coalition army. The Russians are still very much in the field. They've got not a lot left. They've got enough, I'd say, they can defend the town, and they can do that. They haven't got the offensive capabilities. Them and the Swedes together, though, if they link up, maybe a lot of the, obviously, the effective units as well for the Prussians, like their heavy cav are all gone. So that's also a problem. Oh, look how close these guys are, just blasting each other. Didn't even see it. Both sides just kind of just marched up to the wall, blasted each other, and then routed. So yeah, that's an odd one. France going in over here is going to take out some skirms. See a lot of a lot of like cav taking out skirms in today's game. It's a very risky and very maybe not cost-effective way to just get rid of skirms. Just move up some line infantry, shoot them. But that's worked. I feel like as long as you take the skirm at an angle, you've given yourself a very good chance that you're probably going to rout it, not take that many losses. To be honest. Oh, there's Prussian infantry back here that's re-rallied. That's getting dealt with. I was wondering what that unit was in the back for the coalition. Udno looks like he's mostly here. There's a lot of... Oh my gosh, look at the amount of Swiss that he has, though. I was like, geez, the Brits here? Look at the amount of red uniforms we've got on the battlefield. Yeah, a lot of Swiss. Bringing every Alpine man there is. Sending them into battle. We've got more over here as well. And skirms. I wonder if he's brought the Grenadiers. Possibly. Possibly. Now it feels like the French have the cav advantage, to be honest. Uno's got a light cav over here that's managed to sort of get him behind. Russian cavs dealt with it. Didn't look like it ended up being too effective. And yeah, I mean, there was actually, I mean, the Russians have way too much cav there. That was ever going to be a problem. It looks like the Swedish cavs now being shifted from the left to the right. Russia still holds dominance on this far flank, actually, with cavalry. The Hussars and the Uhlans out here, they just routed something for the French. Looks like more skirms, and they're going to try and get this light cav now. France kind of flopping, allowing this Chasseur Cheval here just to get taken out. That's a key asset to try and hold on to. A nice light cav there in good condition as well. Got a lot of troops left on that. That would be handy, again, just to use for a rear guard, because they're doing it already over here. You can see with some Chevaliers and some Chasseurs that they already have. Look at that. The French have absolutely blasted the Landwehr there, and they've cleared them out. These fresh troops here, Boudinot, making themselves known. And it looks like we're going to see a charge here. The Swiss are kind of guarding the advance of the cuirassiers here, and they're going in at an angle where they haven't really taken a volley in the face. They've charged the square, though. They have charged a Prussian square. And there's actually Prussian squares most of the way along this line. And look at that, it nearly red line and broke. It might still, if they can get a volley off here. No, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. But yeah, a lot of these Prussians actually here look like they can square. So they're quite capable of stopping a cuirassier assault, at least. I mean, well, say that there's still lots of infantry over here that can't square. Just get the cuirass back. I mean, now that they form square and they're staying in square, you need to move up the infantry, get the French infantry right in their face, and start charging a bit of a unit cross. Absolute unit cross there from the Swedes. My gosh, that was horrendous. And they're going to get routed for that. They need to slam into a light infantry there. The French squares, the Swiss here, should be able to scare them off. And the Swedes over there managed to rout a infantry, light infantry there. Honestly, I keep the heavies out here. I think you got to try and scare off these this cavalry here. Try and get rid of that. Again, like I said, nullify sort of dominance that the coalition have. I think they still have a slight dominance in cav, especially since the French have lost quite a few lights recently, quite foolishly, I think, as well. Like this Ulan went in. There's a lot of troops in reserve here for Udino. They just aren't pushing up. They need to move up with the main line here, because otherwise this front line here is going to get detached from its reserves, and he's just going to get picked off. Like, eventually Prussia will turn around or counter these front 8 or 9 units he's got there of infantry, and these guys won't be able to back him up. The heavy's already looking just so much more depleted. I mean, it's still a scary sight, that's for sure. It's a heavy cav at the end of the day, but it's already looking pretty depleted, pretty at half strength almost. And now the Prussians are going up a hill, and that is going to be a tasty hill to try and defend there. You've got the Russian guns trained on the advancing Udino corps as the 12-pounders there, big guns, get ready, and they're going to put some big holes into those Swiss and French troops. And the Russians have fallen back as well. They're holding onto the farmhouse, but they're hiding the rest of their reserves behind the farmhouse, so they can either feed them into that building, or they can just fight in the streets around that sort of area. And we've got the Swedish gun here as well. 6-pounder just set up down the road And it's just sort of blasting anything that sort of comes into this area. Really nice position, actually, to be honest. I mean, really what the French should do now is just copy the Prussians. You come up this side here, and then you go up the hill this way, and you attack, like, side on onto the hill. It's a very easy hill, actually, to take it. You just don't assault it head on. Just do not assault it head on, and you'll be fine. Yeah, France kind of like, I guess is all reorganizing. Looks like they might be thinking to make another assault here into the town. Looks like the Portuguese getting ready, the light infantry getting ready, just chipping away at those Russians. They've done a very good job with the Russians, but they are very much a side story now in this fight. The French coming around this right flank here, forcing the Russians back. All this Jaeger now in retreat, including Logan Roth. He's still in the game. This is an artillery piece here. No, I thought these were artillery. Just infantry just gathered around outside. And there go the French. They're going in. They went for that gun. The Swedish gun there. The Portuguese trying to get it. Failed. Russians sent them packing, but the Swedish gun can't move now. And this is a problem for the Allies. There's quite a substantial amount of French on this right flank now. That can sort of pincer from one side. Oudinot, if he's smart, can pincer from the other side. He should target the Swedes. The Swedes aren't entirely on the hill here. Go for the Swedes. A lot of them can square, which is fine. You can just, you know, bait them into a square, then move up your infantry melee. The Swedes definitely cannot melee as well as the French, even if they're vast units like this. And that's the way to do it. And then just go through the Swedes, up this hill. And they should be okay. I mean, the Swedes haven't even got their best troops into position. They've put Jaegers yet. They're really, really good light infantry, which are pretty big units as well. Like 134. There go the Swedish cav. They're going in. They're going to try and slow the French down here. In go the Hussars. And they're going to rout those Jaeger there of Oudinot. I imagine these must be provisional. They're routing so quickly. They also just can't square. Like a lot of Jaeger can usually square. This is bold from the French. I'd also would be, I don't know, I'd have half the amount of units here. I'd thin these guys out so when those Russian guns fire, you don't get hit so badly. I'd be having a screen, or just have skirmishers there, to be honest. This would be prime sort of spot for skirmishers, just to be an annoyance there. Looks like we're going to see a light cav. I was going to say that's going to go for those Swedish guns over there, another 6-pound. I didn't realize I had another one here, but this Swedish gun's going to get targeted now. Canister, that's probably going to get rid of the French cav. Luckily, that was a really nice hit, actually, and there you go, that saved the day. Prussia was dashing across an infantry, probably to form square in front of the gun. Here we go. I think this is the best chance for France to win here. I think Oudinot, all of a sudden, even though he's a pretty healthy army, he's almost become a distraction. And I think this French force over here is going to have to be the sort of the pushing point. He's certainly having got sort of the best sort of point of assault, I feel like, against a very weakened Russian army. He hasn't got any cav support, though, really. He could ideally do with some of that. He's now getting a little bit, but he could really do some more because he's getting harassed in the back with Russian cavalry. They're just sniffing about, looking for opportunities. Yeah, not a lot of these Russians can form square, looking at them now. And we're getting more Swedes being shifted over here as well, the Delta boys. These guys, they got mass on their side at least, which is obviously huge. And a lot of landwehr now being sent in this direction as well. And the Swedes, again, being aggressive, again coming off down that hill. France kind of looks pretty thin here. And they already look like they're struggling a little bit. And there you go, those sniffing Russians, they went in. Looks like they nearly routed. I don't know if that's squared or what it did there. This infantry had nearly routed. Anyway, France has managed to get rid of that Hussar. That's a huge win. Get these skirms of just get them to, you know, harass the flanks here, because these Prussians are going to extend the length of this line in a moment, which France can't afford to do. And yeah, I think France is falling back in the face of the oncoming Prussians. France is contesting the building over here. also where quite a few of their forces are now going. A lot of French infantry here being shifted in. Keep on going, boys. But yeah, I mean, look at this. All this Laguerre is like just actually in and around the building. They like kind of pushed out the Russians. They could have, if they could have timed this well, they could have, you know, pushed here with this force and then pushed out of the town, because they had actually, as you can see, they kind of hold most of Dennewitz again to the French. They have a lot of troops actually in here. Yeah, if they go through Dennewitz and then up, they could actually do a lot of damage to the Russians. The Russians are blobbing as well here as they try to pathfind through this tiny little gap in the fence. Oh yeah, prime time to charge now as a Frenchman. You can just charge and pin down so many units and they not get a charge bonus themselves. Instead, we're seeing lots of French now rout. I think these are the units that were in the building and then also around it. They're all routing here. And there goes some French cav going in, charging. I don't know what they're charging. Oh, I don't know. That's a lot of lag. I don't know if that's got something to do with the French cav charging through the building, whether that's upsetting the replay. I know that is a common problem. French infantry being dashed up here. They actually ran up here. Don't often see that, but they're getting ran into position. Trying to support the cav. Cav is going to rout. It's redlining. Edinburgh infantry here getting sent forward. They're decent shooters. They're not going to be able to beat those Russians in melee, I doubt. And look at this, France. It looked optimistic, you know, this push here, and all of a sudden it's not so optimistic now. It's becoming a retreat. And France, they kind of seem like a little out of ideas. Those Swedes, even though, you know, it's a 7-point, and they don't have a lot of troops. They're big units, and they seem to be able to hold the line. It seems to be enough. I was surprised. I felt like Oudinot, with his, you know, being an 11-point, he can bring a lot of troops. He can bring a full stack easily. I thought he was just going to be, you know, just that added bonus. It felt like the French did a good job. They got rid of one of the Prussians. I think they missed an opportunity to really finish that with the Prussian army off, to be honest, when they were in retreat. I think they missed an opportunity of allowing the Prussians to get all the way back to that hill. And now Sweden's here. And Sweden seems actually being relatively effective in just being a blocker here, stopping Oudinot go around this hill. But like I said, I think they just don't need to be stretched out over here. Leave like 1 or 2 units just as a pretense that you're going to be, you know, assaulting there. All the skirms, and then they need to get their infantry, and they need to make a push here onto the Swedes. That's what they should be doing. Just melee the Swedes. Apart from if it's that King's infantry, you know, which I don't know where that's gone to. Maybe even the foot Jaegers. I don't know if I'd melee them either. But anything that's like in Delta infantry, I'd probably give it a go in melee. They get here, blasting away in Dennewitz. Here come the Prussians once again, and this Russian cav has just never been dealt with. They've never been able to dominate the cav fight. It actually does feel like 1813. I felt like the French had more. It just seems to have been, you know, slipping away bit by bit with each just failed cav charges. A few have been picked off as well that shouldn't have been picked off for the French. They've got one back here just looking at the rear guard. I don't feel like it's needed here. Just get the general, just put him in, I don't know, just over here. It'd be pretty difficult pathfinding wise for the Russians to pick him off. I get that cav from. There's still got a lot of French infantry here just being very passive, doing nothing. It needs to be shifted somewhere to do something. There you go. Sweden's gone in against the heavy cav. The heavy cav was being sent forward. Sweden's trying to block it with his lifeguard hussars. He's done it. Now can the Delta infantry be pinned here? The infantry is finally coming forward. The French infantry and the Swiss infantry just to keep pushing. Got grenadiers here, man. For Christ's sake, they need to go in. Just get those boys in there. Mix them in with the cuirass. They'll do something. Squares to form though. Can the cuirass keep going through? Get the Swedish cav? No, seems not. They're going to redline. I think they're going to rout here. And that is indeed the French heavy's gone. Will the Swedes continue on? Will they just think, oh, we'll counter here? I think the grenadiers can form square. The bold move it was. It didn't really pay off. Got the outflank here on the Swedes though. But yeah, not a single cav over here. We've still got like dormant units here just doing nothing. I feel like these are just a lot of provisional troops here. There's so many units that just like, look like they're light infantry that are just like probably should be able to do a little bit better in melee and are not doing that well. They could do with an Inspire or something here, I feel like, to help it. Here we go. Swedish, I was going to say, sorry, Swiss infantry form square. So that Swedish cav is, that's bacon. That's gone. There you go. And now would be the time. There you go. They got the Swedish infantry. Look, it breaks at 135 by 169. It's easy to break. They are the weak link in the line. You can find a Swedish point to hit, you hit it. And that's what they need to do. They just need to keep harassing the Swedish force. Hit these guys, then get in behind, to be honest. Even Russian cav back here is just being shifted over. They're just everywhere as those Russian ulans. I think it's the same three. They just keep getting moved about really effectively. And there you go. The Swedes have gone in. They've got a nice last-minute volley here on some of that light infantry. And it's just the one being set up on its own. Still routing a lot of Udino's core here. Logan Roth finally routes. The Prussians are kind of pushing into the town. All that massive French infantry here is kind of been cleared out. Well, at least, you know, forced out. I don't know why it's not being sent right. Instead of just being in the town, you don't need to contest the town at this moment. Just, you know, get to the right, try and beat the Prussians. Here comes that Russian cav. Looks like he was maybe going to go for some squares being formed there. General's been killed. General's killed. Was he farmed down or something by this Ulan here? I think he must have been. That's unfortunate. I don't know whose army that was, but yeah, there's a general over here. He's still alive, I think, but he's getting pretty low on men. There's another one here. I think Udino's is all the way out here somewhere. Actually, now I see it, I can't see Udino's, and I think it might be Udino that might have died. Also seeing all these troops just rout, giving me more and more of a strong feeling it might have been Udino that was the general that routed here. And there you go. The Swedes are going to hold them at bay. Yeah, all these troops are redlining. I have a feeling that's their general gone. So yeah, all these Swiss and French troops here just are kind of cooked. You see the Ulan going here. They might rout these guys before they even form square. Even if they do form square, they're redlining. No, he kind of held. They can get the Swedish infantry up in, blast them point blank range. They'll finish these line infantry off. Or even, maybe even a melee. I'd certainly get a volley off first. Oh, yeah, here is the King's infantry, so this is probably why they've been holding so well this flank here. Get a good volley here, boys. Gustav. I don't know why, like, Wachtmeister? It sounds like War Master or something like that. Again, it looks like again Russian cav going in, just being a pain to this French army. They are being a literal living nightmare. Here's some Cossacks. They had 4 like Russian cavs dotted about. One has finally been routed. The Prussians here advancing. The Russian cavs in the back line, just always an ever-present threat, and there's always some little infantry units here just kind of keeping an eye on it. I mean, this cav's not moved forever. It's been a personal bodyguard of this French general here for like 90% of the game because of that paranoid of the Russian cav. Yeah, so much infantry here routing. So much. Oh, actually no, Udino is here, so he's not dead. Must have been a different French army. It's just morale's just crap, it seems then, because yeah, he is like fully capitulating here.
Routed, sir.
Some of the Prussians going, it seems. I don't know if they're really. I don't know what you could say like Prussia's good at. Like, is he good at shooting? Is he good at melee? He's just good at mass, I feel like. You just bring a lot of mass, and that'll work. You'll get through eventually. But yeah, look how much now they're boxing up with the French instead of the Prussians. How the tide has changed. The tables have turned. That's what I was looking for. Why was it the tides have changed? That's the tide of battle has changed. I feel like it kind of went back and forth a bit. The French certainly were under the cosh to start with, and lost a lot. But they certainly they weathered the storm, managed to push the Prussians back quite significantly. Now they've been under the cosh once again, trying to assault that hill. Which I think is unnecessary to assault. I think they've just got to hold the town. So I don't know why the French were piling in troops there. They should have been piling in the Swiss infantry into the farmhouse. They're probably getting if they could get an artillery piece to try and blast the building, at least get it down to 50%. But yeah, they were really insistent on trying to go for this hill. Maybe it was also part of the objective. The game's not done yet. The French can still turn this around, but at the moment, it certainly seems like they're on the way out here, are the French. One good Cossack charge right now could probably mop up a lot of these Frenchies. Don't even know if this unit here would be formed square now. It is like a Westphalian sort of light infantry sort of type unit. Bettenberg, I think it is, not Westphalian. But anyway, it can't form square, evidently, or chose not to. It's going to get routed. And will the Cossacks continue, or are they going to get out of there? Wise thing to do would probably be get out of there. The Cossacks are kind of a one-hit use sort of thing, but no, he's going to go in. They're going to get the Prussian infantry right up close, and they're going to put a nice big volley, I think, into those French infantry at close range. The Ulan there also managed to get some infantry of the French. German allied cav there being shifted across by the French. It's the last cav I think they've got. Yeah, they're all on like a knife edge here. Generally dismounted. I think this is to avoid them taking casualties from musket fire. It's obviously now very, very vulnerable to a cab charge. He's not got those. He's only got 2 legs rather than 4 to run on, and there you go, more French infantry routing, and again more retreating from the French. They're doing what they famously do well. The French run away. Not that they had that sort of that image at this point. I was trying to think of the right word. Stereotype. That's the word I'm looking for. They didn't have that stereotype. Generally, just like had a mind like blank. I just couldn't even like speak. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, no, if anything, the French are more famously known for marching forward at this point. Big long columns rather than running away. I mean, they're still able to muster up a force here, you know, hold up against the Prussians, just whether these guys can stand. Also, one of these French armies has no general. Whether he's got men left, I don't know. The only army it's quite easy to identify is Udenno, because he's got a Swiss flag in the middle of his flag. But yeah, we will see. Some of these French shots on a red line, though, they are just, you know, running out of boys. And there you go, finally giving in those Portuguese Legion. Giving up, finally. Can run back to Lisbon. Go and join Wesley's army. Wellesley's army, Jesus. It's a Sunday. At the time I'm recording this, I feel like at the end of the week, I need a recharge. The Swiss come forward once again. Gotta give it to them at least. They, you know, they don't give up, these Frenchies and these Swiss. They're gonna keep giving it a go. And the one I'd target would probably be this one here. If I was these units, I'd target that one. Got a bit of an angle. You can hit it. Yeah, these. I don't know what the morale is for these Swiss. I thought they were relatively decent, but really not. They dropped quickly. They got a real good volley in the face there. Here come the rest of the French. They're going to try and I think give it a go on this infantry here of Kajana. Whether the Swedes now could also make a push out of the town, sort of like to the side and sort of side charge. I feel like they definitely could try and side charge most of this French line here. I don't know if the Russians have anything really left to give. I think the only infantry they have is in that building. Yeah, we got some like Landwehr, the Foot Jaegers. Foot Jaegers might be able to do it. Dornberg. I mean, look at this. This is... It's a shame the French don't have any cav now, because this is the prime sort of time to charge this unit here, because they are literally side on. Like, if you're from the French perspective, you just charge straight out that unit. Even with an infantry unit, that'd be ideal now. Imagine having like an Imperial Guard unit or something just to charge straight at that. That would be the perfect unit to target, go through that, and then just hit the rest of the Swedish line. But the Swedes can do it, because there's no real assets here apart from infantry for the French. And it's not scary infantry either. It's just allied troops, mainly Swiss. They really have not performed, and it seems like they get outgunned by the Swedes. The Swedes can shoot better than this bigger unit. That's a risk, though, is the Swedes charging in, going into melee. They might just about win that, but my gosh, it was close. It went right down to the red line. That is the risk, is what I'm saying, is Sweden's melee capabilities are not great. And now it's actually going to be the other French, the left flank here of the French, that's going to get boxed in. Honestly, this is going to be a quicker death, I think, because the Swedes here just seem to be relentless with their volleys. The Prussians need to push forward a little bit more. Prussians on this side. Again, I'd probably get a little closer into the face of the French. Whether this French cav could actually be used effectively and, you know, maybe rout the Prussians, I'd give it a go. We're about to see the death, I think, of Oudinot here. Here he goes. Yeah, he's going to get caught here, and I think that might be Oudinot, at least routed, if not killed. They try to pull him like into the side, into the middle of the square, like the Prussians did earlier in the battle, but he's going to get routed. The cav's going to rout as well, and that is going to be Oudinot finished. Luckily, he didn't die, so it's not as bad a debuff for morale, but still not great, that's for sure. And yeah, the Swiss here seeing their chance to flee the battlefield. And the French have, I was going to say I thought they were routed, but no, it's very much alive. It's going to give it a go. What's on the flank? A squareable Brandenburg unit. They did square as well. And now the French are going to give it a go with a charge. Oudinot's got force over here as well. He's like all over the place, scattered. There you go, that cav route, that's a shame. Should have just gone sort of down the middle. I would have gone for one of these orange lining units, I think would have been the ideal target to go for. Should have maybe gone in behind. Get sort of the bonus of just charging in the back. Also could have got the general as well. Like Blucher was open. So actually that would have been a better idea than just charging into the side of Brandenburg's infantry here. But yeah, now that, well, I say now that the French over on this side have been dealt with, they're not quite dealt with. The Uhlans here can look to maybe come around the back, deal with the French here. They're keeping a rear guard of infantry. We've got probably some of the better infantry as well. We've got lights in the back and then French infantry. Whether these guys are square, which is why they're being kept there. Defend that gen. I get the lights in the front line though. Because they're doing damage to the Prussians now. Look at them. The Prussians are out of guys. And the Prussians are going to rout actually from French infantry volley fire. And the Russians actually charged this infantry here. They definitely did not need to. They had the angle. They could have just gone around and got that general there. That's a bit of a waste of the Russian cav, which is surely going to rout now from the bayonets to the French light infantry. Yep, there he goes. I think he also might be blasted with point-blank range there by French line infantry. And now it's back-to-back stuff for the French over there. Oudinot is still alive. He's still got a little token force, just being shadowed by the Swedes. But yeah, France actually dealt with the Prussians, so they don't have to be back-to-back anymore. You just turn around and face these Swedes and these Prussians here. And if they wanted to, I think you might be able to be aggressive, try and push those these Swedes and these Prussians while they're not set up. Swedes, as we've seen in melee, kind of a bit touch and go. Prussians as well, touch and go. They might have the beating of them. We'll see. And the Russians, like I said, pretty much spent. They got the Jaeger left, but they've not got a lot left. Oh, we've got the Swedish foot guard Jaeger in there. Okay. yeah, if you're still watching and you got to this point in the battle, so thank you very much for watching, I would say. It's been a really, really good fight. Honestly, yeah, it's been a little bit back and forth, but it is pretty close, to be fair. There isn't a lot left for either side. I think just the sheer scale of some of these Swedish units is quite scary. I mean, they do rout pretty quickly, though, but I still don't think the French have it in them, and they've got to take back the LOC. Like, the Allies don't need to be aggressive. They can just sit here, just kind of grind out on the French. They don't need to be be aggressive and pushing. They still have artillery as well. I mean, the Swedes, I was going to say, are wheeling their artillery, the 6-pounders. Russia is also doing the same with his 12s. I don't know whether he could have left them on top of the hill with 12s and got a clear line of sight. I just feel like you're going to get the 12s up into position, and they're going to get run down straight away by some infantry. I mean, he's still got some pretty big infantry units here through the French. Very capable. These French units here, if they can get into position, they can go down the road here and hit these guys on the bridge. They're going to get a chance though. Prussia and Sweden not giving any sort of excuse for an angle to be opened up and a charge to be made. If only they got this general, who is, to be fair, orange lining. I think he's being shot by just random musket fire here. I think he's the final French general here on the battlefield. The rest have routed or been killed. Oudinot and his little enclave over here is getting slowly whittled down by the Prussians. Honestly, been a bit of a disappointment, I think, a little bit, the Oudinot army. Bit of a shame. And they have got into melee. They've got in the melee of the French. The Leguer here, taking on the Swedes. That's it. The Swedes are going to lose this. They are, well, it's winning slightly more, I would say, otherwise. Well, that's it. As that's changed, they've routed. What do I know? The game knows better than me, of course. That would make sense. There you go. Sweden has routed himself there, though. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe they're routing Jaeger? They did get a volley off of them, that's for sure. Anyway, more infantry being sent into this area. They could do with the that King's infantry unit in here as well. Still got an Oudinot Swiss unit here as well. But get into the town while these Jaegers run by and, you know, debuff you. Artillery is firing, but I think it's Russian artillery? Yeah, the Russians have got their guns set up here, sort of, in a very messy spot. These 12-pounders, again, sort of holding the road, sort of not. I mean, they don't really have a clear line of sight with that Prussian infantry in the way. They could do with really withdrawing that. Then the Russian guns sort of dominate down that main road once again. Both sides are being very, sort of, very careful. Oh, that was a better hit. I actually saw, you could see the French infantry there fly. That Jaeger was just, Leguer. They're not the Russians. Yes, they started flying. A great distance now, as you know. I mean, he's gathering a few troops back as well. Nothing huge. I mean, he's still got no general. I think most of the coalition still have all their generals. I think only one Prussian one got routed. Everyone else still has their general, as far as I'm aware. You see the Swiss here flanking around. I feel like they're just isolating themselves by doing this. Maybe try to go for the Swedish guns. Yeah, 14 minutes left on the clock. I don't know if the replay is going to last that long. That's what's left on the clock. Take this. Is it going to come down to a draw, maybe? If it does, then there's technically a victory for the coalition because they hold the LOC. Turning into a gunfight, which, to be honest, has served the French quite well against the Prussians. I don't know if it will against, hasn't really against the Swedes. So they've only got to face a little bit. Most of this is Prussian infantry that they can just sort of, you know, maybe grind down. A lot of these Prussian troops, I've seen a lot of action. They've been here a long, long time. But who is going to win? I mean, like I said, I'm not a betting man, but I would put it on the coalition. But you can never say no to those Frenchies. They always find a way to win somehow. They always find a way. Russians, I was going to say, getting a little adventurous. Look like they were going to push out. I think their plan is to get side shots here. Yeah, they're going to do this line infantry. Side shots from the French. That'll be good for morale. Yep, already doing some damage. One further along, actually. They did some devastating damage here, to be fair. Some really nice volleys, to be fair, onto the infantry there of the Prussians. And, yeah, that isolated Uno unit. Swiss infantry here getting taken out by the Jaegers of the Swedes. Now they can push around here, and then they can actually outflank the French once again. Looks like Uno's boys have been routed. No surprise there. A load of wet wipes, those Swiss. They don't know how to fight. Out of practice for too long. Being so pacifist. I know someone in the comment recently also did say that in a really old vid, it was one about the Swiss. They're like, oh, they aren't like pacifists. They're historically actually warmongers. Like their mercenaries are higher and stuff like that, which is true. The Swiss mercenaries and like stuff like that, very highly prized. But look at this. It is down to the wire, I think. Yeah, like there is not a lot left. The Swedes, though, could do with getting these infantry units forward. They've got a couple of infantry units just kind of being very passive back here. We've got the guns as well. Get those into the front. Some more of Uno's guys returning. Slowly but surely, the Swedish jaws are closing in on the French. They're just quite slow moving forward. What are they, L4s? Actually, they should be moving quite quickly. For some reason, I felt like most of the Delta infantry in the Swedish army is just L2s, to be honest. Don't know why. Oh, the French have gone in for a melee charge. They've given it their last go. Not a bad idea on the Prussians might work, but already routing French along the line, and that's causing the rest of the army to rout. And that is going to be GG. I think the French maybe just accepted they have finally lost. I think they saw the Swedes coming in behind and thought, we've got to try something crazy here, try and rout the Prussians before facing the Swedes. And it didn't work, and I think we're going to see this general just go in and get killed. And then that is going to be game. And it kind of like, for quite a while, it's been quite tense. And then there's just a little flurry of action there at the end. And that's decided today's game. And Dennewitz is going to be a coalition of victory once again. History has repeated itself. It's not been changed, but my gosh, it was close. And to be honest, that would be a huge result, at least, even if they did lose the French. They pretty much took an army that they outnumbered pretty much out. If that had happened in history, that army that Bernadotte was leading, the Army of the North, I believe, would not have been effective at all. And not been able to be of any use at Leipzig, that's for sure. There have been a handful of Swedes and Prussians left to go on to Leipzig. But yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you did enjoy. If you do want to see more NTW3 on the channel, like I said, do remember to leave a like. Subscribe if you're around here in the comment to show your support. Well done to everyone that took part in this battle as well. Thank you to Johnny for sending this one in. I think he's playing as one of the Prussian armies. I think the one that was still alive at the end. We'll have a quick look at some of his unit stats and kills. Yeah, one of his line infantry there getting 175 kills, 116 with another infantry there. But yeah, nothing else getting huge kills, to be honest, actually. I don't think he was the player that brought the cuirassiers. He had a lot of light cav by looks of it. But yeah, not a bad result, that's for sure. A really, really good fight. I hope you did enjoy. And if you want to see more NTW3, do check out the videos appearing on your screen now. There's some great ones there. And maybe even I'll put up the historical Battle of Dennewitz that we did ages ago. So you guys can check out that one and see if that one was even better than this one. I don't know, this one's going to be pretty hard to top, but maybe that one will be. But until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye for now.